everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's Joanne Musa, the Tax Lien Lady, and I have with me now Charles Sells of PIP Group. Hey, Charles, how you doing?
I'm good. How about you, Joanne?
I'm good, and it seems like we just saw each other on Wednesday.
I know, right? Time flies.
Yeah, and we hadn't seen each other. We hadn't done a webinar like this. It's been over 2 years.
I know. So I actually, it snowed the day we did the last webinar. So I was going through all this stuff, and it was about this time of year, but we had gotten snow the night that we had done the last webinar here in South Carolina, which is like, never happens.
Wow, that was a while ago.
Right?
Yeah. Anyway, I want to find out. We've got quite a few people on with us already, and you guys, I believe you have access to the chat and the Q&A. So what I'm going to do is ask you guys to use the chat right now, and just let us know if you could see the screen. You should see it says leverage PIP and hard money for amazing profits, because that's what we're going to talk about tonight. And yep, you could see it and you can hear me and Charles. Okay, everything is good. Sandra says, okay, great. And for all you guys that are coming on, just let me know, were any of you guys in the conference that we did on Wednesday? Any of you guys in the conference that we did on Wednesday? Did you hear or see Charles talk on Wednesday about PIP and the Savannah market? He mentioned the Savannah market. You're going to find out more about that today, I'm sure. Okay. Yeah, Andrew, Al said he was here for the first half of it. Good stuff. Yes. Okay. So we got some people that heard us talk about this on Wednesday, Charles. So I've known Charles for years. We go way back, and there's not too many people who do tax lien investing for others who actually do a done with you service, that they do it for you, that I recommend. And Charles is one of them. Okay. There's only 2 in the whole country. and he invests for people in the most profitable state, Illinois. And I don't know if he's going to talk about the tax liens today, but he's got some other exciting stuff that is really doing well for his clients that he's going to tell you about today. Anyway, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I'm going to mute myself. If you guys have questions, I know Charles has a lot to cover, so I'm going to let him go with his presentation, and we'll take your questions at the end. But if you have something that you don't understand, go ahead and type it into the chat, because I'll be watching the chat. And Charles, take it away.
Take it away?
Yeah, take it away.
All right, fantastic. Thanks for having me, as always, Joanne. Like Joanne said, I'm Charles Sells. I started my career investing in tax liens when I was 23. I'm 47 now, so I've been doing it for more than half my life. And my experience in my business, if you will, has evolved because, as we were talking the other day, when you're investing in tax liens, you kind of have to be savvy as a flipper as well.
Hey, Charles, so I'm just going to stop you for I'm just going to stop you for a minute, because I'm hearing a little scratchy. Is anybody else hearing that? Is it scratchy, or are you guys getting a good, because it might be me. Okay, you guys are good. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn, I don't know if it's my headset, so I'm going to turn my headset off. Waiting for this thing to turn off.
You just read my lips. All right, Joanne's gone, so I'll just keep talking. So anyhow, we start. We can't hear you, Joanne. All right, so I'm just going to continue on. We'll see if Joanne can figure it out. So nonetheless, I've started my career in tax liens, and that kind of brings you into, you have to know how to flip houses, you know how to repair and deal with all of that as you go along the way. And it really evolved our business and the things we do into being anything distressed real estate, essentially, when it comes to residential real estate. We don't do anything commercial. But what we're talking about today is, something we've been doing for 6 years. The market wasn't there 7 years ago, but it kind of happened to fall in our laps. And we're talking about investing in flips using hard money in Savannah, Georgia. And let's just jump right into it. First thing I want to say is, if you've been scared with all the nonsense going on in the country about putting your money somewhere, stop. The housing market is absolutely exploding right now. As you can see here, the competitive low country housing market shows no signs of slowing. I just pulled these from, a few real estate websites. Low country is Hilton Head in Charleston. And if you follow me, which I know some of you do, you know how for the last 6 years, I've been comparing the Savannah market and what it's doing now to where Charleston was, 10, 15 years ago. And it's pretty cool because, I never knew the pandemic was coming or the craziness with the elections. But what it's doing is it's starting to prove, my theory, if you will, and we're going to get into that a little bit. So Savannah's called the Coastal Empire. Hilton Head, which is where I live in Charleston, is called the Low Country. So they've been absolutely killing it. In quarter 3 of 2020, price values in Charleston nearly doubled. And the cause for that is the low inventory, because they did so well through the last recession that there's a low inventory and there's a big demand right now with a lot of people moving south, learning that there's going to be a new way of trading, a new way of working in general, that even as this passes will more or less be a permanent way of doing things. I mean, not a lot of us knew about Zoom in March. We all know what it is now. They obviously had some foresight and are obviously doing very well. So when we talk about Savannah, we're talking about how Savannah is becoming the next Charleston. What Charleston did to get where they are now is they invested in themselves from the inside out. They offered programs for urban renewal and revitalization of the nice characteristic homes, and a lot of private money came in with MUSC as they grew, which is the Medical University of South Carolina. So as they continued to build their campus, people started building or renovating the properties around it. They became the rentals, they became sales, and so on. That's exactly what is happening in Savannah right now. Now, before we keep going, I want to give you my hard money story. So I haven't been in hard money a long time, but I'm obviously very good at flipping houses, or we are very good at flipping houses. How I wound up, and this is to tax liens, Joanne. We have a client that invests in both flips with us and tax liens. I think they do about $5 million a year with us. We bought this property on an online auction, and literally probably 10 days before, it was about 2 weeks before closing, the investor said, you know what, that's too much on the REO side. That's going to hurt our buying power on the lien side. We're just going to have to bow out. Well, we had all the earnest money invested in it. We knew it was a great opportunity. So, I reached out to one of our advertisers and I said, hey, I need a hard money person. We want to keep this investment in-house. So that's how I was introduced to hard money, was on this particular investment. What I've never shared about this, I've shared this slide often. What I've never shared before is that we were pushing into the season, the summer season, and we had a feeling that if we didn't start cash flowing this, that the hard money loan payments of $15 grand a month initially was going to chew us up. So what we decided to do is we furnished it and we rented it short term for $15,000 a week. So on top of the cash on cash that we earned on this property, we also brought in $200,000 in rental income. I've never shared that part of this before because it just already a 98.97% profit in 1 year and 5 days seems ridiculous. So it actually was closer to 842,000 that we made on this particular investment. But anyhow, we're going to show you some examples. As I said, Savannah is doing the exact same thing Charleston did. MUSC versus Savannah College of Art and Design. They are buying up the city in droves. We're going to look at some things that they've done last year and some things they just did the other day. And what we're doing is they buy the commercial buildings, we're buying the residential buildings. And that is what has really given Savannah its injection. Now, it sounds like a small school, but it's not. It's huge, it's private, and it's very expensive. They have a campus in Hong Kong, they have a campus in Lacoste, France, Atlanta, and Savannah. Savannah being their biggest campus. And again, it sprawls throughout the entire city. So there's opportunity throughout the entire city. So since I can't talk enough about Savannah, Savannah also consists of a 60 market region that includes Tennessee, Alabama, and Georgia. It doesn't include Mobile, it doesn't include Memphis, but it does include Nashville. Savannah was the second largest transactor, I'm going to say, bought of properties, residential properties in all of 2020. That's huge for Savannah. And because we know that there are going to be evictions, and because we know that there are going to be foreclosures, and that the inventory is going to increase, we know that that's not really going to impact us because there's such a small inventory of new homes that the city of Savannah is really pushing to revitalize what's already in place and keep the charm and character of the city. Savannah's market appreciation has been 12.7% over the last 5 years. Now, I've got that highlighted in red because I've given this presentation, I believe, once before, and then we have a recorded version on our website. I had that at 9% before because that's what one of our brokers told us it was. But then I did my own research the other day, and it was actually a better number. So over the years, before we introduced hard money as an option to invest, investors would just use their cash, their SDRAs, or however they were going to invest, and we promised them a 16% annualized return, which was pretty easy to do, considering the market appreciation combined with our ability to fix and flip. The numbers were a lot better than that, but it was very easy to give them that promise. With hard money, it's actually a lot better. Rents in some Savannah neighborhoods have grown as much as 33% in the last 3 years. That's just an insane amount of money or growth. So that's something else to consider as well, is that the rental market is only going to become stronger as we do see evictions and we do see foreclosures. Especially on the foreclosure side. It's going to happen. We don't think it'll be the impact like it was of the last recession, but as we saw with the last recession, the rental market really took off. Really took off when that was all going on. So we do expect to see an increase in that as well. According to the Renewal Authority, which is a lot of the programs that are behind all of this revitalization of Savannah, they're expecting the population in Savannah to grow by 37% by 2033. That's a huge number. But what's driving that number is that they're expanding the ports. In 2020, Savannah transported more containers through its port than any other port in the country. That's huge when you consider, how much comes through Long Beach, California, if you will. That's a big number, and they're expanding that port to double in capacity. So that's essentially why they're thinking that they'll get this huge rise in population while there's no inventory. So you've got appreciation as well. You've got appreciation plus the ability to flip now. So it's a great rental market for cash flow, buy and hold. It's also a great flip market. Last but not least, it doesn't really attribute to Savannah, but with Biden, he's planning on a $15,000 stimulus for first-time home buyers. That's exactly what Bush did. That's exactly what Obama did, but it was $8,000 then. What that does is that creates a seller's market. And so you're able to demand more. Savannah is already getting bought up left and right, like crazy. So that's just one more thing that's coming in our direction. And Savannah also has what's called a Dreammaker program. Now, it's a really cool program. And as you can see, it gives you as much as $60,000 if you build new on a vacant lot for the home buyer. But I'll tell you, we've only used this program one time. We've only had one person actually buy through us with the Dreammakers project. But it's just another layer of opportunity that is in place, which is why Savannah is doing what Savannah is doing. I mean, they are literally following Charleston every step of the way. So we know what's coming or what's already here. Savannah was named in 2019 number 4 small city by Condé Nast Traveler. Now, I've been talking about SCAD and how SCAD is really, the driving force, if you will, behind everything else that's coming, the port expansion, everything else that's coming. And you see where I've circled here in the bottom left-hand corner. I just happened to pull this article because I was wondering where Savannah fell this year, which is number 8 by Condé Nast. But you can see in November 27th of 2019, SCAD had bought another building, another apartment. So, I mean, they are literally just buying it up. Charleston has been number 1 for the last 10 years. So we're still in that bucket, and we're chasing them down. So we're getting there. Now, the other day when we were promoting this presentation, our marketing guy Dylan put this up on social, and in less than an hour, because he had said that SCAD had just bought this building a couple weeks ago, and that PIP has been investing on behalf of investors within 2.8 miles of this. And for whatever reason, it got a ton of traction. It has 70 shares in less than an hour. Well, there are areas where we are actually buying that is only 2 blocks from where SCAD is building. The top right picture is what they've just completed. Those are new dormitories. The bottom right picture is 2 blocks from those dormitories. That is a 16-bedroom, 8-bathroom quadruplex. The one to the left we own, which is a triplex. And then over my left shoulder from that picture, we have 3 others. So we are buying up Savannah as fast as we possibly can and renovating, because we're just following what SCAD's doing. They're buying the commercial, we're buying the residential, which is where this opportunity comes from. Finally, in November 2020, Southwest announced 5 new direct routes into Savannah. Now, obviously, an airline like Southwest doesn't come into Savannah without some kind of data that says, people want to be in Savannah, whether it be to live, to visit, to vacation, whatever the case may be. Southwest has never been in Savannah, and they have 5 new direct flights, which, I mean, that's just another huge sign, if you will. I don't know what data airlines use. I know what we use as real estate investors, but obviously they know something, just like we know something. Now, we say power numbers, we don't wait for the markets to appreciate, we create them. So what we mean by that is like that quad I just showed you, we buy in certain areas, and we buy as much as we possibly can, as close together as we can. Now, you can see my 2 little kids standing on the porch of that one property there. That's a single family, 3-bedroom, 2-bath house. To the right of it is also our property, which is a duplex. So we're doing rehabs on 2 properties at the same time, on the same street, which allows us to more or less determine what the market value of that particular street's going to be. And that's been our strategy for the last 6 years. This top-down view, it's about a month and a half old. So there's probably 6 or 7 more properties in these streets, and we call them state streets for an obvious reason. But this is a hot market. We don't keep things on the market in this area for very long. And again, when we've listed the first three, some of our realtor friends in the area were like, "You're crazy. You're never going to get that." But they appraised, and we got it. So we're really changing the market in Savannah, and we're doing it in volume and by focusing literally on certain streets within certain blocks, and driving the market up that way. All right, so let's look at the hard numbers of hard money. Now, I'm going to go through this spreadsheet, but I'm going to start at closing costs because everything above is just, ARV, after repair value, purchase price, et cetera, et cetera. What you need is the nuts and bolts, which is an origination fee. What is that? So when you get a loan with hard money, the origination fee is going to be, you're going to be out of pocket to them 0.5% to 3%, and it's really up to you. You can pay more on an origination fee and have a lower interest rate, or vice versa. So that's really up to you. We're going to skip broker fee because we didn't buy it through broker. Appraisals. What's going to happen is when we assign you a property and we go through all those motions, obviously they're going to go out and do their own appraisal. There's a rehab feasibility study, which we're going to cover here in just a second. The FACO processing fee, that's just a processing fee, just one more way to make a little money from the hard money lenders. And your total closing costs. So your cash to close comes into this. This is your investment. It's $23,907.50. Now, that is your cash to close. Because it's hard money, the hard money says, okay, we're going to let you finance 100% of the repairs, but we're going to hold that in escrow. So you're going to do $20,000 in repairs. We're going to send an inspector out to prove that you've done $20,000 in repairs. We're going to give that money back to you so you can do the next $20,000 in repairs. So that's essentially how hard money works. Now you see at the very bottom, there's an extension fee. Extension fee means that if we can't sell it in 12 months, for another 1% of your loan amount, you can extend it for another 3 months. And you can do that for up to 9 months. And then if it's not sold by then, you're in big trouble. But that never has happened. So anyhow, but that does the extension fee is just a way to give you a little more flexibility in how it all works. So total cash needed, which is what they want to see in your account, is actually $45,255.81. But really, all you're going out of pocket is the $23,907. You're going to do the $20,000 in repairs. It's going to come back. Do it again. It's going to come back. So your return on this is it's hard to calculate because you're technically not out of pocket $45,000 because it keeps coming back to you. Client, when I did the first broadcast of this, said no, you can't say that the total investment was $27,952, which essentially is the monthly interest payments plus the cash to close. Because you still have to set that money aside. So you got to calculate it on the total amount. So if we do that, then the client net profit's still good, and we did 27.94% for them on this particular investment. Now, I want you to look at the cash to close is $23,907. When we do that again, look at the return on this thing. Cash to close is $9,713, but your rehab is higher. So your rehab on this one's $30,000. So you're coming out 30, you're coming back. Going out 30, coming back until it's done, and then we get the property sold. So again, total cash needed is $40,935. So that's what has to be set aside, even though that's not what you're spending. That's what has to be set aside. So if we take that into account and say your total investment is actually $40,935, then your net profit on this particular investment was 111%, 111.06%. So now we're getting closer to what our beach house profits were. Now they're not all going to be like that, like the first example I showed you, but this is the range that we're working in right now with hard money. You can't come up with these numbers as a hard cash investment. It's using other people's money, and people are scared of hard money. I wasn't scared of it. It just wasn't my thing. The last time I heard about hard money, the rates were like 16%. That seemed outrageous. So it just wasn't our thing until we were kind of forced into it. Now I'm in love with hard money. I mean, it's just a cash cowing machine. So why partner with PIP? Because again, this is a partnership. We're literally going to become partners. And this is something we pioneered with hard money, with RCN Capital. And we spent 6 months talking back and forth about, okay, how can we give you the reassurances that our experience is going to be there, but we're bringing in somebody who maybe has never done a flip before. We talked about joint ventures. We talked about other strategies. So we finally came up with, all right, what's a win-win for both the investor and RCN and us is let's form LLCs. That gives more transparency than a JV, and it gives us more skin in the game, which makes the hard money lenders happy. So why partner with PIP? There's 100 different reasons, but industry recognition is one. As I said, you leverage our success for a better rate. So if we have 150 successful flips and you have none, we're going to get a much better rate than you are, obviously, if you can even get in the front door. A lot of hard money lenders want you to have at least 3 or more successful flips under your belt before they will lend any money to you. And as I said, it remains passive and more transparent. So it's still a very passive investment for you, but it's more transparent than anything we've ever offered. Our current models before we had this was send your money to PIP. We're going to invest it in your name, and we're going to handle all the repairs and all of that, and we're going to report back to you, and we're going to sell the property. That's it and done. Now you actually are a partner, so you get to see the banking and the processes and everything else that's going on. So it's a game changer for us. The biggest one, and as I said, we were going to talk about this, I mentioned it earlier, is the rehab feasibility study. Now, what a lot of people screw up on is they say, oh, you know what? This repair is only going to be $30,000, and it's in a situation like this. Clearly, that's not the case. Or their ARV is just astronomically high. Their after repair value is just not even there. So you will pay for a rehab feasibility study, and if your numbers are wrong, and a lot of the times your loan is not going to get approved. With a rehab feasibility study with PIP, they know we know our numbers, and they know we hit them every time because we've done so many with them at this point. So that's something to consider too. I mean, that's probably one of the top things that I would say is a good reason to partner with PIP, because the doors may be closed on you before they're even opened. So how does this partnership work? We're calling you NewCo, and you'll have to excuse the spaceships, but in the office when we're selling this now, we're calling it the mothership. So I figured just go with it. So NewCo and Platinum, you're 100% owner, Platinum's 100% owner, and then we merge together and we form an LLC. We handle all of that. It still remains passive investment for you. You're a 60% owner, and PIP is a 40% owner. The company is actually called Platinum Homes of Savannah, so it's not even PIP anymore. You're the capital partner. We are the sweat equity and the managing partner. So that is essentially how that works. When I showed you those numbers before, those are coming from you. That's what hard money is going to look at. They're going to look at your $50,000, if you will, and plus your cash to close. So that's coming from you. We are the sweat managing partner. So to give you what it looks like again, 9713 is you. The total cash needed for this investment, for this $205,000 investment, is $40,935.47. So that's Again, that's not all coming from you because the rehab out of pocket is 100% finance. So you need to have it, but it's going to go out, it's going to come back, it's going to go out and come back. You need a 650 FICO and about $50,000. And I say about $50,000 because you can have this, you can partner up with 6 different people, but there has to be one primary managing partner, if you will, and that's what hard money wants to look at is that individual. So that's why I put the asterisk there. Now, I don't want you to say you carry all the burden. We're going to go through a list. I'm going to go through it very quick because I know there's going to be a lot of questions. But we've had a few prospects call and say, well, what do you do? We do so much. I took this picture of Lena literally last Thursday. And we go to Savannah every Thursday and we do site inspections. And we have about 60 properties ongoing all the time. So we take Thursday and Friday, we spend the night in Savannah, and we do all our site inspections. This is Lena last Thursday at a stoplight, working on her computer, looking at our prospect properties, while trying to give her card to a contractor in the car next door. So we're always on, we're always working, and we do a lot. There's a ton of due diligence involved. I'll tell you straight up, our overhead for administration, just our office, is about $600,000 a year to do this business. So when you're talking about your $10,000 investment and we're not doing anything, we're doing way more than you think. There's a lot that goes into this to be able to make the profits that we make. Skip tracing. To collect 5 houses that are off market and look boarded up, and the neighbors have no idea who they are. 5 houses takes one person about 5 days to skip trace, find who the owner is, see if we can make them an offer, and work through those motions. So there's a lot of time, there's a lot of effort involved in what we're doing in our sweat side of things. Building supplies. People think we just go to Home Depot, buy supplies, and that's it. No, we go meet with general managers and say, hey, when you guys have decent stuff going on clearance, your first call is to us. We're going to buy it all, and we're going to leave it in your warehouse until we're ready for it. We buy $12 square foot pieces of marble for $1.50. So there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that you're not aware of. Offload, obviously. There's a lot that goes on. We have to attend every closing that is on the buy and on the sell. So there's trips to do that. And then there's the miscellaneous. So, we work with wholesalers, we do probate, any way we can acquire property, basically. The skip tracing, there have been more than one occasion where we've bought from a wholesaler who claimed the property was vacant, only to find that there's actually somebody living in it. And more than one time, there's been a gun pulled on a contractor who's gone to change the locks on that property. So then eviction starts. So we have to handle all the nuances that go on with that to do it legally and be able to get a sheriff out there to get them out. So there's a lot that goes on with us. So back to the mothership. So now that you're confident that we're good partners and that we're doing as much as you are as far as what you're contributing financially versus what we're contributing in sweat equity, we're going to get a taxpayer ID. We've set up an LLC. Takes about a week and a half to get through the Secretary of State processes. Hopefully that'll speed up now that we don't have any more Georgia runoffs or vote counting or anything like that. And we're going to go ahead and open the bank account. We're not going to fund it yet, though, because when you bought the property or when you buy the property, that's coming straight from you. We're going to fund it after we have acquired the property and we're ready to start doing repairs. So how does it work? So we identify the property purchase and we set a closing date. We determine all the repairs and budget. There's about 6 pages of stuff, just what are you doing in this bathroom? What kind of floors you're putting in? It is very, very detailed, and it takes a hot minute to get all the information to make the application for hard money. So we submit that itemized budget, and we provide them that ARV. So remember feasibility, rehab feasibility. So we have to be on the mark when we send that in. Lender sends out their own appraiser to verify the ARV and the feasibility, if you will. If approved, lender determines cost value reserves ratio, which we saw in that spreadsheet. You submit the cash to close directly to the attorney. So again, under PIP's current models, you've been sending that money to us and relying on our reputation to do what's right. Now we're not even going to touch it. It's going to go straight to the attorney for closing. The lender then funds the balance of the closing. Now you fund the operations account for the operations of the repair, and then the repairs begin. So that's obviously a lot happens with us behind all of that, but that's it in a nutshell. Let's look at one more property, and then we'll get into some questions and some more details. So this one, I wanted to share this one because if you look at the tile in that bathroom, that tile actually came out of our house. So we're thrifty, and you know, we're all here to make a buck. So all of that tile was improperly installed in our house for our floors. It was expensive. It was nice, but it had to come out. So we used it in some of our properties. So here's the numbers on this one. You know, again, a little heavier out of pocket this time. Now your total cash needed is about $60,000. Your monthly payment on the interest is $1,460.55. But even after PIP's bonus, if you will, you're still making a 64.8% profit on the full amount of the $58,000. So repair draws. I pretty much already explained how this works. You're going to fund the op account for initial repairs. We're going to make the repairs based on the stage you want them. So what we like to do is if it's $20,000 at the $15,000 mark, so we don't get caught up and slowed down, we're going to call the hard money lender, appraiser out, or inspector, if you will, and we're going to say, okay, we're at $20,000 now. We need to make a draw. So once the inspector comes out, confirms that, he sends that off to the lender. The lender then wires the money back into the ops account, and we keep going. So that's how that works. Now, it seems like we're getting close to the end, but we're really not. Getting started, just contact us with your interest so we can talk more about how this process works. You're going to review the operating agreement, which is a very simple document. You know, it basically just says, I'm not going to sue you. You're not going to sue me. We're partners, and we're both here to make money. And the terms of how that process works, that you own 60%, we own 40%, that we're going to be the managing member, and you're going to just kick back and watch us do our thing. You're going to pick a name for the company that we're going to be doing the investments. You're actually going to pick 3. That's just the requirement of the Secretary of State in case there's one's already been chosen. So you're going to give us 3 names, and then we're going to go file that with the Secretary of State, and then we're going to file the articles of organization, and we're in business, essentially. You then apply for the tax ID. Now, we'll handle all the paperwork for it, but being the 60% owner, and because you have to go in and say, Charles Sells or PIP Group or Platinum Homes of Savannah is applying for an EIN, because we're going to be doing so many of these, we really don't want to get audited. So since you only have to do it once, we're going to let you apply for the tax ID. It's very simple. It's done electronically online. It takes about 10 minutes, and then we're ready to go set up a bank account, identify the property, and get investing. I mean, it's really a streamlined, simple process from your perspective. The actual work is not simple, but you know, from your perspective, it's pretty easy. And I should say that the op agreement, you know, it's legalese, right? But we've simplified it as much as possible. And so if you have questions or you have concerns or anything like that, you can talk to us. If there's a term you don't like, we can figure it out. Obviously some of our investors are attorneys and they want that 2-page document to be 20 pages. So we're negotiable. So what's the operations account used for? And I'm going to hit just a few frequently asked questions, and then Joanne, we can get to yours. Funding repairs, insurance and utilities, the monthly interest payment, any cost associated with the eventual sale, flip of the property. So everything is included from the time we start the repairs and we start making that first interest payment. It's all coming out of that ops account. You have access to that ops account. However, we have signing authority on that account, and you have, if you wanted to make a withdrawal, you have to have our signature, my signature, and your signature to make that withdrawal. And here's why, because it's like, well, it's my money. It seems unfair. Our current weekly burn right now in our fix and flips is about $100,000. If you suddenly feel that you need to go buy a new car and you feel you've got money sitting in our joint venture LLC, and that money disappears and I'm relying on it, that's a huge problem for us. So if there's emergencies, if there's things that come up, we can certainly address those. But we just have to be aware. So having 2 signatures essentially just triggers our ability to say, hey, what's going on? I got to pay the contractor $10,000 this week, and there's only $7,500 in the account. So that's the purpose of that. So back to the mothership, how the funds are distributed. So we're a partner in the mothership, but once we get to closing, the funds aren't going to the ops account. The funds are going back to you, and they're coming to us. The 60/40, that's coming straight from the attorney's office. That's going to be wired straight to you and wired straight to us. So we're not putting them back in the ops account. We're not mixing up that money and muddying that account. That ops account is meant for one thing, and that is the repairs and the operations of the investment. All right, so I started getting bored as I was finishing up these slides, so I started getting a little crazy. So can you keep these for cash flow? Absolutely. Some of these are going to be multifamily. There's a lot of multifamily that's still in Savannah. Some of the times we're converting to multifamily. So just keep in mind, Savannah's appreciating market. You've got that going for you. The appreciating rentals, 33% in 3 years. And hard money offers conventional loans on long-term rentals. So if you want to convert that, that's absolutely possible. The rates are a little bit higher, but you may be leveraged to the point that a conventional loan through your bank might not work, but through them it does. So that is an option. Absolutely, 100%. Cash flows in Savannah are great. Can you do multiple deals using the same partnership? Absolutely. We don't have to reform all this stuff every single time. We do it once, and we do as many deals through that as you could possibly stand. And hopefully it's a lot. Can you do this with multiple partners? Yes, you can. Absolutely, 100%. Like I said, though, there has to be one key member where that account is going to be the one that hard money qualifies, if you will, to underwrite the loan. So if you want to bring in 10 friends, but you're the main guy, that's what they're going to look at. They're going to be looking at you. Can you do this with a self-directed IRA? Absolutely, positively. Now it does depend on your IRA. So I can't speak for your particular IRA, but you absolutely can. When it comes to hard money, however, the IRA cannot own more than 49% of the LLC that you partner with us and join the mothership. So you have to keep that in mind. Hard money will not recognize or qualify the total cash needed. That means that they're not going to look at how much cash you have in your SDIRA. They're going to look at you personally. So even if you intend to use 100% of your IRA money, you're going to have the credit and the cash on the personal reserve side. So that's something to keep in mind. All right, so with that, I know I'm not going to sign up every single person on this presentation. These are two properties that the top one we're working on now, the bottom one we have under contract. But just follow us. Watch the transformation for yourself on these two particular properties. We're going to post it on our website as much as possible as we continue to go through the process, and just watch how we turn these because they're clearly very extreme. The center picture on top, we're going to turn that into an in-law suite. So it's already got plumbing, it's already got drains. It just doesn't have anything else. So when we're finished and done, that will be an in-law suite to the house on the left.
Yeah, my husband would look at that and say, yeah, that's the in-law suite.
Yeah, it'll be a little nicer when we're done with it, though. And we've actually on our website, we have some that weren't quite this bad, but they had similar transformations. But yeah, that will turn out a little bit different. All right, Joanne, I'm going to turn it over to you now, and as we answer some questions, I'm just going to kind of flip through some of these before and afters that we have.
Yeah, that's beautiful. The after on that one is beautiful, and I'd like to see the ones that you just showed before. I'd like to see the what they turn into. And I love Savannah, by the way. And are you familiar? There's a beautiful cathedral, St. John the Baptist Cathedral in Savannah. Yep. I've been there. It's I really like Savannah.
Pass it every Thursday. At least 3 or 4 times. 3 or 4 times every Thursday and Friday.
All right, and we do have quite a few questions, and I'm going to start with the ones in the chat, and I'll get to the Q&A after we go through the chat. And Fernando, but you know what? We did get one in the Q&A early on that I want you to answer right now because it's fundamental to what we're talking about. Somebody asked, what is hard money?
Oh, that is very, very fundamental.
Yeah.
Okay, so hard money or private money loans. So it's not going through a bank. It is an established company. So RCN Capital is who we have set up this structure with. They're probably I would say they're probably the second largest lender in the country. But hard money or private money, it's just, we're not going through a bank. It's a private company. The one just above, I don't know if RCN is, I know the one above them is a publicly traded company on the stock market. When everything shut down around COVID, they did too. Temporarily, but that's hard money. That's what private money is. It's somebody is invested in that company, and they're then investing in you.
Yeah, let me just add too why you would want to use hard money instead of using a bank. When you're a real estate investor, sometimes you can't get a bank loan. Sometimes if you're an investor and you already have, 3 or 4 properties, the bank doesn't want to give you a loan on another one. They think that's a risk.
And they're definitely not going to give it to you on a fix and flip. They're going to lend you what it's worth at face value.
And another reason why you would go with hard money instead of the bank is going to qualify you. They want to see that you have the money to do it. They want to see that you have the credit to do it. Everything is on you. But with hard money, they're going to look at the deal.
Yeah.
They're going to look, there's a couple of things like Charles mentioned. You have to have a 650 credit score. Now, if you're going with a bank, they're not going to loan to you on a 650 credit score. They might, but they're going to charge you, like 9% or something. even
Right.
more, something ridiculous. But so that's the difference with hard money is they're looking at the deal mainly, not just at you. And there's one other reason why you want to use hard money instead of a bank, and that's because banks are not in the business of lending you $30,000 on a house.
Right.
You can't get those smaller loans from banks. You've got to use hard money.
Yeah,
So
and,
anyway.
and I mean with the banks are not going to take the risk. So I mean what triggered the last recession was the banks had too much inventory, not enough liquidity. So they're not going to get into that kind of bed, if you will, of taking the. I mean, from a regular bank, it's high risk to try and do something like that. So they're just not going to do it.
Yeah. All right. So let's get to some of the questions here that I got in the chat. And we already talked about this one. Can this be done with hard money and SD IRA? And Charles already answered that question, but I don't know if you want to.
Yeah, I mean, so it's just it depends on 90. I know 90% of the self-directed IRAs are going to do it. And again, it absolutely can be done, but when the hard money or the private money underwriters come in, they don't want to look at the accountability of a self-directed IRA because there is none. They want to look at you and have the confidence in you and the credit score. And again, 650. That's being very, very confident, and that's pretty small. That's pretty low.
Yeah, so, the banks are going to look for 750. So.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, it's that it absolutely can be done. That's part of the reason that this setup was done the way it is. When we were talking with RCN about how we can bring SDRA money into it, joint venture wasn't going to work, so it had to be something stronger, more transparent, where the self-directed IRA could be confident as well. So it really goes back again. If you want to use 100% of your IRA money, you can set that up in an operating agreement that basically says, kind of like what ours is going to be, is that the IRA is going to be the capital partner of your particular LLC, and you're going to be the managing partner. So it can fund 100% of it. The language just has to be in the operating agreement. But when it comes to the underwriting, again, they're not going to look at the money that the IRA has. They want to look at your credit score and your personal worth, if you will.
Yeah, so you can use the money in your IRA, but you're going to have to show that you have personal money.
Yeah.
And here's what you could do. Like, if you personally don't have the money and that's why you want to use the money in your IRA, right? Get a partner that does, and show them that money.
Yep.
You still use the money in your IRA, but get a partner that does. All right.
100%, that works. That absolutely works.
Yeah. Okay. And Charles, you were talking before that, Pip has more skin in the game than you did before when you were just investing for other people. And somebody asked, how does Pip have more skin in the game? And I think you answered this in your presentation, but just to.
So now we're with the way we were set up before. There was a lot of we were paid a bonus based on our performance. Now we and there was a lot of you had upfront. You have, if you go that route, upfront costs and then the performance bonus on the back. Now with us having skin in the game, and you don't get to look at our accounts. With having skin in the game, you get to look at the accounts. You get to see how we're spending the money. You get to see how we're signing contracts. You get to see the budgets. You get to see all of that. With our current models that we've been doing for the last 6 years, you didn't get to see any of that. So that's essentially how we have more skin in the game. Is we are now, I would say, more accountable, if you will. I mean, we've always done right by our investors, so I don't want that to come out the wrong way. But this now really is a marriage, if you will, rather than us just being a servicing agent, which is what our title has been for the last 20 years.
Well, you're the sweat equity partner now, doing all the work. So PIP is doing all the work. That is their skin in the game. And as Charles was talking about earlier, there is a lot of work, and I'm not a big flipper. I haven't flipped a lot of houses, but I've done some, and it's a full-time job. Just one house, it can be a full-time job until it's done.
And it's, I mean,
contractor.
And we have great contractors, but we're always, great contractors become lousy contractors, so you have to be prepared for those kind of movements as well, which is, we've had project managers in the past. They were, ex-military guys, high ranking, and they just washed out within weeks. I mean, it is a high pressure situation. And I mean, literally as we were modeling this together, 5 or 6 months ago, when we let our last project manager go, Lane and I just committed to the fact that nobody can do it unless you're the one that's writing the check.
I as somebody that has some experience doing it, I understand totally, because there's so many things that have to be done at a certain, like the plumbing has to be done before the carpentry. And that has to be done before the painter, and everything has to be scheduled because the painter only has so many days to do it. And if everything else isn't done when he's ready to paint, you lose your friggin' painter.
Right.
You have to wait a month for him to come back and do it. I mean, stuff like that happens. It really is like an art form, and you've got to be on top of these people every day because things come up and they can stall you for a week, 2 weeks, a month and then other things happen, like a storm and a tree comes down and takes the electric wires off your house. That happened to me on the last house we did. So I know. Anyway, I just want to say the picture that you have up there, I love that after picture. And
so you'll notice in everything we do, it's always the same. I mean, floors can change because, like I said, we are hot wired to the Floor and Decor in Savannah. We are their first call when something goes on clearance. It's got to be at least tasteful, but every single wall is painted the same color. It's always the same shaker style cabinets because that's what's in right now. And again, that goes back to the contractors because, if we need to do a patch job or something happen, we can send any contractor and they're going to have the exact same paint as the guy that painted the whole house. So I mean, that saves you a lot of headache by just keeping things consistent and the same throughout. So here's another one, different house, same fan, same paint, same floors. This was an attic we just converted into a master suite.
Yeah, nice. Okay, and we got, now this question was somebody gave me this question when we started, so this might have been answered. I know it was answered, but we might want to reiterate. How is my investment protected? Is my name on the title on the property it is invested on? And do I have to file a 21-day preliminary notice that I have to record in the county where the property is located?
None of that applies, and it's not in your name. It's in our partnership, our LLC that we have together. Now, you own majority shares of that partnership, so we're more legally bound in this model than we were in our capacity. I should say are, not were, I just love this idea much better than what we've been doing than we were in our capacity as a servicing agent.
And that 60-40 split is really nice because let me tell you, the last house I did, I got a private investor and I did a 50-50 split. So I'm the one that did the work. He put up all the money and he only got 50%. So the 60-40 is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, we want to make sure that, the investors feel it's fair since they're the ones putting up the capital, and that brings me to a question that probably isn't in here is, why are you not doing this for yourself? We are, and we're doing it in other areas. We have some in Savannah, but to avoid that whole conflict of interest idea that we buy more for ourselves than we do for our investors or better for ourselves, we kind of stay out of that. So with the private money, we have a $4 million credit line. So we are doing it, but there's a heck of a lot more opportunity. And we've got the crews, we've got the resources, and the day that we don't have a job for them is the day that we lose them.
All right, and this is also from Fernando, who asked a couple of the other questions. How do I know that you are using the money from our ops account in our project and not another account? And I believe I know the answer for that. You can tell me if I'm right, Charles, that you have to sign off. They have to sign off as well as you, right?
No, they don't have to sign off, but right now what we're doing, one, they can log into the account and they can see where everything's going. So there are going to be times that there's going to be invoices that are being paid back to Platinum Homes of Savannah, for whatever the reason. But you're going to have all that. Plus, we're trying to come up with something a little more formal, but it may not even be necessary. Is everyone's going to have a Dropbox link that is associated to the LLC, and you can log in there and see where the receipts are and what they're for and why they're there, and if it's taxes or something else.
Okay, and let me see if I can make sense out of some of these questions. I know it's like a little box that you write these questions in. So,
right.
Okay, how many properties in total? I think can the company rehab in parallel capacity? So
right.
Go ahead, Charles.
60.
I think
right now we're doing 60, and we can definitely add to that number. We could probably, and that is in parallel. So that's everything. Like I said, when we go down on Thursday, we do inspections. That's doing inspections on 30 properties one day, 30 properties on Friday. Obviously there's some variances to that, but we could add another 20 or 30 to that number fairly easily.
And yeah, I'm not sure whether this question was about how many PIP are doing as a whole, or how many can one person do in their account.
They can do as many as they want. Yeah, I mean, it's really, I'll give you an example. When we first introduced this, we had a investor sign up with us, and he wants 2 different LLCs, and he wants to run 5 properties out of each LLC. So 5 properties at a time.
So he's doing 10 properties total.
Yeah.
So, okay, cool. And this is a really interesting question, a good question. Thank you for this, Mike. This is an interesting talk. Thanks. Can an international investor invest using this approach?
Absolutely, 100%. We have investors from all over the world. We don't have one right now that's doing it through this program because it's brand new, but there's 100 different ways we can set this up. It's a fairly easy process, especially since it's an LLC.
Yeah, that's great, because I know right now it's hard for international investors to invest in tax liens because they need a tax ID number. But
right.
Something like this is they don't have to worry about stuff like that.
No, no, it's very easy to set up.
And if you have multiple partners, does the money need to be seasoned in one person's account? That's another good question.
Yep. So it does. It needs to be seasoned. So before COVID, they were looking at 6 months of bank statements. They then amped that up to 12 months. With our program, it'll probably get dropped way back because, again, you're partnering with us, and they have more confidence in what's going to transpire, if you will. So if you're partnering with a bunch of people, yes, it's going to need to be seasoned.
Okay, we got some really good questions here. I got a couple good ones. Are you keeping track of the time, Charles? Because
well, we warned everybody on Wednesday that we would definitely go over.
Yeah, we're just over the hour now. But if you guys want to we're here to answer your questions, so we're willing to stay here. Anybody that has to leave, yeah, I'll tell you what, Charles, we've got your number right on there. So if you do have to leave and you have questions for Charles later, there is his email address and his phone number and the PIP Group website that you could go to find out more.
Yeah.
Okay. Paul is asking, is Joanne invested in PIP? I'm not invested in this program right now. I have invested with PIP in the past in secondary tax liens, which we didn't even get to touch on.
Right.
Which is something that I'm really interested in doing again. But so not currently. I have invested with them in other things in the past, but this is a brand new program that they have.
Yeah.
So I am not invested in this yet. And right now, I don't have the cash available to do this myself, but would be interested in partnering to do this in the future. Fully invested in tax liens at the moment. Okay. What paperwork is usually submitted to the hard money lenders to qualify for funding?
So again, they're going to want to look at your bank statements of whatever your savings account is. They're just not going to look at the SDIRA. So wherever else you may have it placed, they're going to look at that. They're going to look at your credit score. That's what's going to come from you. Now, when we submit everything, we're submitting that. We're submitting, the rehab feasibility, which is a very itemized form that, again, we have to label what if we're using tile or marble, if we're using granite or formica. It's very detailed. So we submit all of that, and they're pretty quick about coming back with an answer.
Yeah, and this next question is related, actually. What is the current average duration from funding to property sold?
So we're still calling it 9 to 12 months. And the reason we do that is because markets are seasonal. Winter, not a lot sells. Spring, everything just flies off the map. So it doesn't take us that long to do the repairs. It just depends really on what time you came in. So if you came in right now, we could be funded within a few weeks, have you in a property, right thereafter, and we'll be ready to be on market for the spring hit. But if you invested in July, it may take a little longer. So just as a rule of thumb, we just say 9 to 12 months. Have we done deals a lot faster? Yes. Have we had some take longer? Yes.
All right. Jim is asking can't getting my tongue tied. If PIP controls the cash, what advantage do I have if the money is misspent? I think the idea is dealing with PIP. They kind of know what they're doing.
Right. And I mean, there's really, again, it goes back to, we would have the ability to do that if we were bad people under the servicing agent hat. Because you have the ability to log into the bank account anytime you want to, you can see where the money's going. You can see, the check stubs, if you will. We're not going to get a credit card for every single partnership we set up. So that's why I said, there are going to be charges that, PIP will invoice the LLC for. But again, you're going to see the progress in the pictures and in everything else that is all the documents and everything else that goes with the investment in a Dropbox folder.
Also have a good track record. They've been in business for how many years?
21, according to Better Business Bureau.
Yeah. And you could check them out in the Better Business Bureau. They have a really good rating. So, okay, PIP handles the contractors and the rehab process. Yes.
Yep.
They handle everything, all the work.
Completely passive for the investor, but the investor can check up on us anytime they want.
Again, and David had asked,
we have now.
Can non-USA residents invest? Yes, we already answered that one. Who handles the tax filing for the LLC?
Okay, that's something I didn't cover. So in addition to, I had it labeled in there, but I didn't hit on it. In addition to having access to the bank account, we will have a third-party accounting firm that is also involved with all of these transactions and the bookkeeping process. That is the company is called Island Financial. They handle all of our stuff. So again, there's another intermediary in there to make sure that we're doing what we're saying we're doing, and that they're also handling all the taxes and saving us all the money with all the hopefully with all the tax benefits you can get.
Yeah, good point. That's a really good benefit. I'm glad you asked that question.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, Jeffrey,
I meant
thanks
to hit
for
on
asking that question. Yeah. Okay. Gary, I'm not sure that I understand this question. In whole, as a company based on the number of contractors, et cetera. I think that was in addition to a previous question that I don't know what it was.
Is that asking how many contractors we have? So our right now we have the core GCs, the general contractors, with their teams. We're probably over 100 heads.
When PIP identifies a property to purchase, can I go to RCN Capital and get the loan?
If you want to go straight there, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, we're here to take care of all that for you, but if it's something that you just want to go direct, absolutely.
Yeah, and Jab is asking, Joanne, are you sending this recording later? If you're a member of the Wealth Building webinars, members get access. It's only $49 a month. You get access to all the recordings that I do. We do one of these a month on a different topic each month. And if you're a member of the Tax Lien Profits Accelerator, you automatically get access to the recordings. And you can go to, if you're not a member, you want to find out more, become one, go to wealthbuildingwebinars.com, or you could go to, just go to wealthbuildingwebinars.com. That's the easy way to do it. Or you can go to my website, taxlienlady.com, and there's a link there to the Wealth Building Webinars. What does your current property inventory look like? And is there a minimum amount of money needed to keep in the operations account? Okay, so questions from Derek.
Right. So properties in the inventory, they're gone by the time we acquire them. So every week we have contracts. So yes, there will be a property identified by the time you become an investor that is probably under contract, but it's not in our inventory, so to speak. anything in the inventory is already spoken for and being repaired.
Oh, Gary's also asking, are you still taking investors through the old programs or only through the new program?
Through the old as well. Mm-hmm. No,
okay, so you do the old as well. Okay, will this partnership enable the investor to qualify for real estate professional status?
Ooh, I have no idea.
Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by that, Gary, sorry. And Sandra is asking, now you did answer this too during the presentation, but you kind of went through it a little quick. Do we have the ability to hold a property for rental?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
It works the same way. We kick those off to a property manager. The splits are the same. We definitely encourage holding on to properties because appreciation is going so well in Savannah right now. And again, a lot of what's going to come into the pipeline is going to be multifamily properties. There's a lot of that in Savannah.
All right, and okay, we got through the stuff in the chat, so don't use the chat anymore, guys. I'm moving to the Q&A, and we're gonna go through these really quick so that we can, so that we don't keep you too long, all right? We already answered the question about non-USA residents. Yes, you can invest. You don't have to be, foreigners can invest with this program. And Scott is asking, do you have any sample LLC operating agreements you could share? And that's something, Scott, you could take up with Charles.
Yeah, we do. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you could. What do you want them to do?
Just email me an email
that or call you?
Better to email me, and then I'll shoot it right back to you. It has a lot of blanks where we fill in for the company name and that sort of thing, but it's the operating agreement.
Okay, and let's see what else we got here. What ongoing paperwork or expenses does the 60% LLC owner need to manage once the LLC is formed until it is dissolved?
Nothing. Ongoing paperwork. I mean, everything's going to be handled on your behalf by us. So obviously taxes are going to come up every year, but again, we're going to have a third-party accountant handle that. For as long as we're partners together. If there's a reason to dissolve, that's a pretty easy process as well. But we'll handle that as well.
Yeah, and somebody's asking about the returns are split 60-40 after the sale of the asset, but I am investing my funds for the rehab and flip. Yeah, that's the way it works.
Yep.
That's the way. My last partner that did a deal with me only got 50%, and he put in all the money. So
yeah.
we did the same
and
thing.
Again, just to touch
so
on
60% is pretty good.
Yeah. So and just to touch on that, there's a ton of expense on our end as well. Yes, you're putting up the capital for this, but we're spending a lot of money on our end as well. It's not reflected in the partnership.
Well, yeah, you've got your gas, you're staying in a hotel when you're doing it, you've got your food, and you've got your time that you're putting in that you're not getting paid for, and that's what that 40% is paying you for. I know because I
our
did
staff. I mean, it takes a staff to do this.
Yeah, and when you're doing that many properties, it sure does.
Yeah.
I know. Yeah, what my husband Bill told me is if I do this again, I have to charge for my time because full-time job. Okay. If we convert a property to a rental, is the 60-40 split maintained, or do we need to buy out the 40%? That's a really good question. How does that work, Charles?
So that is going to be investor preference. They can either buy out our 40% or we're there for the long haul. The properties are appreciating. The properties are earning revenue. So we're happy either way. the 60/40 remains, but if you want to keep the property for yourself and buy us out of it, then we're just going to go with whatever we agree upon is market price, and we would do that by just getting an appraisal and agreeing on the number.
All right, and how much can we see as far as rehab and other duties under your control as the rehab process develops? And I think you answered this already, but
you can see all of it. I mean, you're gonna get pictures of when we knock in the door, and you see the disaster that we're starting with, and you probably won't get pictures every Thursday because that's just very labor intensive. But we're going to be uploading pictures throughout the entire process. So you'll see it maturing, if you will, as we go along.
Yeah, and Scott had asked, do we need to find our own hard money lender, or you have the lenders we have to use? They already have that.
Yeah.
RCN Capital is the lender that they use, that they partner with. Okay, and you also answered, this is the last one we have. Oh no, it's not the last one. I've got to scroll down, there's more. But this one, you kind of answered, but we'll retouch on this one again too. Is there a minimum amount of money needed to keep in the operations account?
We didn't. I heard it come up, but I don't think we answered it. No. So it depends on how many times you want to make draws. I would like to have at least $10,000 because that's anything less than that, we're really moving at a really slow pace. And we don't want to do that either because you have interest payments every month, right? But that is definitely your preference. You just have to keep in mind that if you have more draws, that means you're paying for more inspections. Because they're sending somebody out to actually confirm that the work has been done before that draw is returned to you, if you will. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Okay, and how long is the partnership for? 6 months, 1 year, 3 years?
However you want to be with us. Yeah. I mean, I know we have about a 10-year opportunity in Savannah before, inventory is all done and we've kind of hit that peak like Charleston did. So we feel we have a 10-year run, that we're in year 5 or 6 of that beginning process. So we're 2033 is kind of the benchmark, if you will, but I think everything's going to be done a couple years before that.
All right, and now we are, and this question is related, when does the partnership end? So.
Yeah, when you want it to. I mean, if you decide you want to dissolve the company, the LLC will dissolve it, and that's it. If you want to keep doing business with us and keep the partnership, we'll keep it going until I'm not happy with you or you're not happy with me.
All right, and that's it. We answered all the questions.
Holy smokes, that's awesome.
And a few people had to leave, but we still have over 50 people. We still have 50 people on here. Probably.
That's awesome. Yeah, I'm sure my email is going to blow up. So again, I do site inspections on Thursdays and Fridays. So obviously I'll be in the car all day tomorrow. But if my email blows up, I absolutely will answer them in the order they come in. I will answer all your questions in detail. I'm way better at email than I am phones. It's a horrible habit, I know.
Yeah, I can testify to that.
Yeah, I mean, there's few people I take phone calls from these days, but I'm way better with email, just because I've got 2 little kids and I can get on email while they're napping or eating, or I work odd hours all the time. I'll probably be working late tonight, so any other questions that come up, or if you're ready to get started, anything, just drop me an email, and either Lane is the talker. Either I'll email you back, or Elena will call you and walk you through all of it.
Yeah, and so you have his email right there, charles@pipgroup.com. And Lena, I think, is Lena@pipgroup.com, right?
It is, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and that's Lena.
Yep.
If anybody wants like a detailed description, first talk to Charles, and then he'll send you to Lena anyway.
Right. Yeah, she'll give you the rundown for sure, but set aside an hour and a half of your time for the phone call.
Yeah, but that's okay. She has a really nice accent and really nice voice to listen to. Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you so much, Charles. This was really eye-opening. I'd like to come down and actually see some of those properties next time I'm in Savannah. Of course, absolutely. I don't know when I'll be traveling again.
All right. Absolutely. No, and one more benefit. Savannah is one of the top 10 tourist destinations in the country. As an investor in Savannah, you can do a tax write-off to come see your investments and come vacation in Savannah.
Yeah, that's why I want to come down.
Right?
I do like Savannah, yeah, I do. I haven't been there in a while, too. So.
Awesome. Right. Thanks, Joanne. Thanks for everybody for attending, and shoot us your questions.
All right. Thank you very much. And again, if you want to find out more about getting the replay to all these webinars that I do every month, go to wealthbuildingwebinars.com. All right. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.